The Mountain West. This conference, is always going to have thrilling action. What do we see unfolding here, especially with Mountain West After Dark, where I think with the Pac-12 kind of gone now, people are going to kind of realize just how crazy these Mountain West After Dark games are. Because, they might even be crazier than the Pac-12 After Dark. There's upsets galore, random blowouts. You never know what to expect. So that being said, we're going to still try to expect things. Matt, who's your sleeper?
The San Diego State Aztecs. I just think I've heard a lot of rumblings and good rumblings, excuse me, about San Diego State. And they're getting their own stadium soon if they haven't already. I lost track of that. But
they've had the new stadium for a few years.
Oh, have they? Okay. Well, they get out of that old stadium into a new one. They have the coolest uniforms in the G5, and they're in a very beautiful weathered city. So they've been able to get some recruits in there, and I think they're definitely flying under the radar.
Yeah. Yeah. So my thing with them is, they had been in contention for the conference championship a lot recently. Then, things kind of trailed off a little bit as the offense kept, like Brady Hoke somehow kept finding a way to make the offense worse and worse. To the point where last year they were out there and it just felt like, like the coaches weren't even trying to call plays to score. Like they were literally just trying to find the quickest way to get the offense off the field and, get the defense back out there. Like the effort just wasn't there. Now they bring in Sean Lewis, who's the exact opposite. He's all offense, fast-paced offense, throwing it deep, exciting run plays. They're going to be a completely different team. I think there's going to be an installation period that's going to prevent them from contending for the conference championship. But, simply putting in the effort combined with the talent they still have in defense tells me this team's going to be a lot better than expected, especially better than 8th in the conference, which is where they are in this preseason poll.
Yeah.
So, who is going to disappoint?
Personally, I believe Air Force. When you look at saying someone's a bust, you don't want them in the middle or bottom of the pack. You want them rated at the top, near the top of the conference. And to me, Air Force doesn't seem talent-wise like they can compete in there a little bit. I think they're a little overrated. And then since San Diego State, we both think they're going to be sleepers. I think they're going to be able to do enough. And I think it's just going to be like close losses to the top teams and then losing to San Diego State, and they just can't keep up.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm actually pretty high on them myself. I know they lose a lot; they lose more than anyone in college football, but that's just life of a service academy. They have another group of seniors ready to go. So I'll disagree with you here. I think they'll be up there, but it's going to be interesting to watch. For mine, I'm going for the big one here. Now, it's not like they're going to drop like down to like, 8th in the conference or something, but my bust is Boise State. They were another off season of high expectations, but are they really ready for that? There's the whole thought that, Malachi Nelson, former number 1 recruit, he was going to be the hero. He's going to save the team. Instead, he didn't even win the starting job. It's actually going to be Mark Madsen who's going to be leading the team onto the field. Is that going to be leading to more quarterback controversies throughout the year where they end up flipping around quarterbacks again? That's been an issue they've had since, I think, at least 2021, 2020, something like that. A program that normally was reliable for putting strong quarterback play out there now keeps having this issue. And this season is win the conference or bust. They are by far the biggest favorite. And actually look at the poll here. There aren't many votes for anyone else, but I'm seeing it differently. I think, they end up losing at Wyoming, at UNLV, and that keeps them out of the conference championship, and that's a bust of a season for Boise State.
I do think they'll probably lose against UNLV, but like at least like they play in season, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, they play in season
So
at the
it's at UNLV, right? At
yep,
the Raider Stadium.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the game they're gonna lose, but I think for the Mountain West championship, they're gonna be able to pull it off. I think they're gonna end up doing something um like Northwestern did in like 2013, 2014, where they had the two quarterback setup.
Oh
Remember?
yeah.
Yeah. So I think they're gonna do something like that. I maybe a couple games in, I think they're gonna give it a shot with what's his name? Um
Madsen.
Madsen, yeah. I think Nelson is going to work his way in there, but hasn't he just hasn't it been a pretty good fight, or has Nelson been like
I he did well in the spring game. Like all indications were, everyone expected him to be the starter, and all of a sudden it wasn't. Like it
so
was a shocking announcement.
maybe it's one of those things where they could give him a little bit more time with the playbook. And then or maybe it's like one of those things where both quarterbacks are actually playing very well, but he may have um chemistry with receiver or something. So maybe
Yeah,
that's the reason why. So
I
maybe it's a good controversy.
potentially. I mean, I do think part of it is, Madsen was there in 2022 when Dirk Cutter was the offensive coordinator at the end of that year. So, he's already familiar with the scheme a little bit. So that may have given him a legs up. But still, I don't think this is a program that wanted a quarterback controversy. I
Con-
think it's unsettling
Controversy.
controversy. Yeah, I think it's a little unsettling, compared to the expectations they had. They didn't have time to mess around with this. Oregon comes a week two.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it ends up being a little bit of a disappointing season. Kind of again, I feel like I'm picking on it because this has happened for them a lot, but we shall see. I will say I root for them a lot, so I hope I'm wrong, um, but yeah, we'll see what happens. And yeah, so I mean, you let in yours. So if Boise State's out of the mix, I mean, good luck figuring out who the hell is going to win this conference. In my case, I went with Fresno State over Wyoming. Wyoming has a very favorable conference schedule where a lot of their big challenges all have to come to Laramie, and weird stuff always happens there. But Fresno State, I mean, it was kind of tough with Tedford not being able to coach them. Obviously, we hope the best for his recovery, and it's sad to see that he probably won't be able to coach again.
Mhm.
But I think this team's going to respond. They still have a really good roster. The offense is really awesome. And, the defense may have kind of capsized late in the year, but I think they're going to improve this year. And yeah, I think they're going to lead this team to the Mountain West Championship. It's going to be quite the response, and they're going to do it.
Yeah. I think Boise State is going to um I think they're gonna prevail in the conference championship. I think they're gonna get the QB thing figured out and then kind of run away with it. Um but
Yeah,
Fresno State is a good team. I mean, other than Boise State's like I guess good problem at quarterback, the rest of the division does seem very tight.
agreed. Yeah, I mean
Well, most of the
this
rest of it.
conference is always unpredictable. And like I mentioned in the lead up to it, Mountain West at the Dark just provides some absolutely wild results. And we saw it heads on last year when, we entered November. Fresno State and Air Force were both really good. The winner between those two is probably going to make a New Year's Six Bowl. And then, like, both teams lost out in November. Fresno State losing to New Mexico and Mountain West at the Dark. Air Force losing to Hawaii and Mountain West at the Dark. Like, you just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that leads into my next thing here, which is the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. They have a ton returning overall and on the offense, especially. Matt, I think this is the year. This is the year that Hawaii is finally competitively fun again.
I don't know. I like they're no longer in Aloha Stadium. They don't have the new stadium built. Um, I think the travel is just gonna get to them, and I think like the amount of talent that they have, I think eventually they'll be able to get it, but just right now they have to travel a long way.
Yeah. I mean, this is travel's usually part of it. It's part of the game. For them. They every road game is always gonna be a 4 hour flight, no matter who they play. But yeah, I think with the pieces they have, I think they'll at least hit bowl eligibility.
Maybe, yeah, maybe, but